places in this country where the danger was never printed in a law book. It was passed down like a family heirloom. Places where the warning wasn't posted on a sign. It was whispered, urgently, from parent to child. Don't stop there after dark. Don't get gas there. Don't ask for directions. Just drive. Those places have a name, sundown towns. And let's be clear, these places didn't just happen. They weren't misunderstandings. They weren't bad experiences. They were designed. Because fear isn't accidental. Fear is built. Welcome back to Black by Design. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single episode. Today we're unpacking the architecture of fear, how sundown towns shaped Black movement, Black memory, and Black survival, and why understanding them matters if we're really serious about designing a future where we are not simply surviving, but living, moving, and belonging with intention. So, shall we get into this? Now, what is a sundown town? Well, a sundown town is what happens when racism becomes urban planning. And I'm not talking about a place where someone didn't feel welcome. Not a weird stare at the grocery store. Not this town feels conservative. No. A sundown town is a place that explicitly or implicitly told Black people you are not allowed to exist here after dark. And if you do, something will happen to you. Sometimes that message was written in bold, hateful letters on signs posted at the town line. Niggas, don't let the sun set on you here. Whites only after dark. Other time, the sign wasn't physical because the whole entire town was the sign. Police knew the rule. Businesses knew the rule. White residents knew the rule. And Black folks, we learned very quickly what not to do. Now, people love to pretend that this was just the South, but sundown towns were an American institution. This was Anna, Illinois, so notorious that Anna became a phrase meaning ain't no niggas allowed. Martinsville, Indiana, Levittown, New York, Lake Forest, Illinois, Corvallis, Oregon, Marin County, California, and entire counties across the Midwest and West. The Midwest said, let's do racism, but in a polite suburban tone. The North said, we don't lynch here. We just make sure you never live here. The West said, we're progressive, just not for you. And the point wasn't just about who lived there. It was about controlling movement, controlling where Black people could travel, how long they could stay, whether they could simply exist outside of Black neighborhoods. Imagine traveling America as a Black family back then. You're driving. The sun starts to drop. The shadows stretch longer across the road. Suddenly, the whole entire trip becomes strategy. Where can we stop? Is this town safe? What happens if the car breaks down? What if the kids need to use the bathroom? Can we outrun the sun? That's not travel, that's survival. And sundown towns weren't just declared, they were maintained. Police enforced it. Businesses enforced it. White citizens enforced it. The courts ignored it. Violence wasn't an accident, it was a feature. And even if you never personally went through a sundown town, your parents did. Your grandparents did. Your elders did. So even today, we still hear, are there Black people there? Is it safe? Stick to the main roads. Don't get stuck there after dark. That's emotional geography. That's trauma carried through bloodlines. And that's why we need to talk about this. Because when something is designed, it doesn't disappear when the signs come down. The blueprint stays. Now, to understand the violence behind sundown towns, we need to talk about Carol Jenkins. It's 1968, not slavery era, not Reconstruction, not Jim Crow at its peak. 1968, the same year Dr. King was assassinated. America was supposed to be awakening, but not everywhere. Carol was a 21-year-old Black woman working as a door-to-door saleswoman in Martinsville, Indiana, a town already known for racial hostility. She was doing something simple, something ordinary, something human, trying to work, trying to get home. Witnesses say that she was followed by a white man in a car, harassed, threatened, terrorize. She begged for help. A kind white couple briefly let her inside, afraid for her safety. They offered to take her somewhere safe, but eventually she left, trying to continue her route. Moments later, she was stabbed to death. A young Black woman killed walking through a town she wasn't supposed to exist in after dark. And what happened next? Silence. Fear. A cold case for decades. The town didn't rally. Police didn't sprint towards justice. America didn't mourn her loudly. Because in a sundown town, the violence isn't shocking. It's expected. Years later, DNA evidence and witness testimony finally pointed to the killer. Guess what? A known racist man who bragged about the crime. The case was finally acknowledged. But Carol, she never got to grow old. She never got justice in real time. But her death sits as a reminder. Sundown towns didn't just threaten, they killed. Her story is a blueprint of what these towns were designed to do: restrict movement, instill terror, enforce racial boundaries, and reinforce the message: you don't belong here. So if sundown towns thrived on silence, fear, and denial, who dared to expose the truth? Who refused to let darkness hide everything? Let's talk about our pattern breaker of the week, Ida B. Wells, a person who made truth dangerous again. At a time when speaking truth meant risking your life, Ida looked straight at America and said, if you're going to build violence into your systems, I'm going to expose every brick. Ida B. Wells didn't just report lynchings. She investigated them, named names, tracked locations, mapped patterns. She did something revolutionary. She treated racism like data. She proved lynchings weren't random. They weren't justice. They weren't community protection. They were designed acts of terror, meant to control Black existence. And that's why Ida belongs in this episode. Not because she was part of a sundown town, but because sundown towns operated in the same logic. Dehumanize Black presence, justify violence, protect whiteness, pretend it's order. Ida destroyed that illusion. She said the way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. Sundown towns depended on darkness. Ida specialized in daylight. But she paid a price. Her life was threatened. Her newspaper office was burnt. She was run out of town. But she refused to stop. And because of her, we inherited a blueprint, or dare I say, black print, for resistance. Document, name it, say it loudly. Refuse to let silence protect violence. Ida B. Wells is our pattern breaker because she reminds us, you can't dismantle what you refuse to name. While Ida was exposing the danger, someone else was designing how we survive it. Now, that brings us to the black print of the week, Victor Hugo Green. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't a celebrity activist. He was a mailman. But what he created, that changed Black life. And I'm talking about the Negro Motorist Green Book. If sundown towns were the architecture of fear and exclusion, well then the Green Book was the architecture of survival. The Green Book said, okay, if we can't count on this country to protect us, we will protect each other. It listed safe gas stations, safe hotels, safe restaurants, safe shops, safe homes, places where you can eat without humiliation, sleep without fear, simply exist. It was community designed, crowdsourced, trust-based, life-saving. It was one of the earliest forms of Black user-centered design. Victor didn't wait for America to become humane. He built a system around its cruelty. And here's the powerful part. People contribute. They sent letters. They shared recommendations. They warned each other. It was a living document. A Black GPS before GPS. A roadmap to safety. And let's be real, we still use modern versions today. You know, the group chat, hey, don't move there. That town ain't it. Be careful out there. Social media, Black folks, how the city treating y'all? Is the school safe? What's the vibe? We still map survival. The Green Book proved we are a people who build systems when systems refuse to build for us. Victor Hugo Green is our Black print of the week because he embodies Black by design. He turned fear into strategy. He turned danger into navigation. He turned community into infrastructure. That is design. Sundown towns didn't disappear. They evolved. Today they look like suspicious Black person calls, HOA harassment, police patrols designed to intimidate, we don't rent to your kind energy, neighborhood Facebook groups policing Black joy, gentrification without belonging. It's quieter, it's more corporate, more coded. But the message, sometimes it's still the same. You can exist here as long as you don't get too comfortable. And that's why this conversation matters on this show. Because Black by Design is about intentional living, intentional identity, intentional community. And you can't intentionally design your life without understanding the system designed to limit it. Now, in closing, Sundown Towns teach us something simple but necessary. Space is never neutral. Someone is always centered, someone is always excluded. But here's the beautiful part of our story. We keep designing anyway. Ida B. Wells designed truth, Victor Hugo Green designed safety, Black families designed survival strategies, Black communities designed belonging out of nothing. And now we design futures where we don't run from the sun setting, where we don't question if we're allowed to exist, where we are not warned out of places we are welcome. That is the truth of the future that we're building by design. So, if this episode opened something in you, share it. Talk about it. Teach it. Ask your elders about towns they avoided. Tell your kids the truth. But I want to hear from you. What towns did your family warn you about? What unspoken rules did you grow up with? And how do you still navigate space differently? DM me, comment, send a voice note. Because we can't redesign the future without understanding the Black prints of the past. This is Black by Design. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single episode. Until next time.